Hey everyone, it's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ Stocks, crypto assets, and interviews. It's Wednesday, June 7th. Hope you're well. Happy hump day. And in this video, we're going to be discussing a key Senate committee vote on the MJ banking bill, which we could expect in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We have an article here that I want to go over some key highlights that I just want to share with everybody, and we'll keep this video as short and sweet as possible. But before we get to it, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, you'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. Getting extremely close to that 500,000 view mark on the channel. So first and foremost, thank you so much for everybody for the support. It definitely means a lot, and this was not easy. And like I said, I really appreciate the support along the way. Also did a video earlier today that Fire and Flower here in Canada, the retailer, filed for insolvency under creditor protection, the CCAA. Not exactly bankrupt, but another form of insolvency. And basically, we could even see a stalking horse bid there from maybe High Tide or SNDL, similar to what happened to Zenabis, just a way to maximize the assets before they go to auction, so to speak. BIA and CCAA are a little bit different, but essentially they both kind of mean the same thing, and a lot of people confuse the two, and sometimes I do myself. But this is not good for the industry. Obviously, we're getting very close to a bottom, though, in my opinion. We're probably going to see more retailers, especially mom and pop shops, that go the way of the dodo, so to speak, and then we could see a lot of producers, smaller producers, go bankrupt or file for creditor protection as well. As we know, there's over 1,000 LPs, and it's just the amount of competition right now is absolutely staggering. And we need the Canadian government and the U.S. government to start to ramp up reform. And speaking of reform, here's the article from MJ Moment. So key Senate committee will vote on MJ banking bill in the next 2 to 3 weeks, says chairman. So as I mentioned, I will go through some highlighted responses here of what I found most important. Senate Banking Committee Chairman Sherrod Brown says his panel will vote on sending a bipartisan MJ banking bill to the floor in the next 2 to 3 weeks. The committee held an initial hearing on the Secure, Fair Enforcement, Safe Banking Act, sponsored by Senators Jeff Merkley and Steve Daines last month, and now the chairman says it's heading to markup this month before advancing to the floor. As it's currently drafted, the measure would protect banks and credit unions as well as depository institutions from being penalized from federal regulators by working with state licensed MJ businesses. And we know right now that basically MJ shops in the US are operating as cash businesses, so it's very dangerous for the employees, and you actually you can't pay with a credit card or anything like that. They can't get access to traditional funding or uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ for institutional investors and things like that. But also, you're getting charged a fee. You can't use your credit card. So essentially, it's an ATM transaction. So you're getting charged a fee as well every time. We're looking at a markup on the executive compensation issue and the Safe Banking Act issue, Brown told Bloomberg Law, adding that we want to do all that in the next 2 to 3 weeks. They go on to mention some stuff about criminal provisions and expungements, which we've already covered many times. But it's unclear if members will move to make any revisions to the measure in the committee that the forthcoming markup, but at least one Democratic senator on the panel has reviewed changes he would like to make to the main banking provisions. Advocates, stakeholders, and certain lawmakers have also floated other changes that they'd like to see incorporated into the MJ bill, such as expanding protections to free up MJ industry access to all forms of financial services, including representation on major U.S. stock exchanges. So again, this is more bullish for the U.S. names, right? They can uplist to the NYSE and the NASDAQ, but then they're probably going to run into similar issues like the LPs right now with reverse splits and minimum bid price requirements and things like that, maintaining that $1. So a lot of people hate on the LPs, but the U.S. operators could potentially get there and have to deal with similar things in the next bear market. But this would obviously be good for the share price. It's better for U.S. companies, right, and U.S. operators, but it's going to be good for Canadian operators as well because of the hype that this is going to create, right? But that request has faced some criticism from other advocates who say that we would be in an appropriate move to help businesses while efforts to legalize MJ stall in Congress. But as I've been saying for a while now, I expect safe banking uplisting to happen first. We're going to get institutional investors. We're going to get Wall Street, right? You're going to get hedge funds. All these Wall Street banks like the Morgan Stanleys, the Goldman Sachs, the JP Morgans, they're going to get access and uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ. Then they're going to allow legalization at the full-blown federal level. That's what I think is going to happen because they need to get positioned first. We can't have fair and unorderly we can't have fair and orderly markets, right? We have to have manipulative and unorderly markets, right? That's just the way the market works. Kind of the opposite of what the SEC is set out to do. But as we know, Elon Musk said he has no respect for the SEC, myself included. But again, not to get political, it's just a corrupt organization in my opinion, and they have to be held accountable for all of this, especially, you can see it. It's evident in the crypto space. They even said to Tesla that they would bankrupt Tesla if they didn't basically bend the knee And it's just a terrible, terrible scumbag organization. Senator Jackie Rosen also recently said that she wanted the Safe Banking Act to pass with an amendment allowing MJ businesses to access federal Small Business Administration SBA services. The majority leader has been holding meetings with Democratic and Republican members in the early months of new Congress to discuss MJ reform proposals that might have bipartisan buy-in this year. I think that right now, the chances of this passing are extremely, extremely high. We could see more downside. There's a lot of bear flags, and I did some videos on this on Tilray targeting about 124 USD. There's a bear flag on multiple other, I mentioned it in my live stream today as well, my public live stream and market update, that there's a lot of daily bear flags out there, OGI, a few other ones I can't remember off the top of my head, but we could see, especially with Fire and Flower insolvency, we could see more retailers, we could see more producers, and hundreds of millions of federal excise taxes unpaid here in Canada. We could see many, many companies start to go the way that, just go by the wayside, and either more mergers and acquisitions for pennies on the dollar at the expense of shareholders, or we're going to see more bankruptcies and insolvencies, right? And creditor protection. So I think that's very, very high. Again, we could see one more potential leg down, maybe, 15, 20% of downside on some names, and then we're going to really start to rocket up. And I think this has a potential. I said this many times. What I think is going to knock us out of this bear market that we're in is going to be one of these several things. We're going to see safe banking, uplisting the NYSE and the NASDAQ. We're going to see HHS come back with rescheduling verdict. We're going to see legalization of medical. We're going to see potential 280E tax code in the U.S. We're starting to see state-by-state exemptions already on that. So it's a little bit of a writing on the wall and clue. And then also the MJ Act review here in Canada, because it said that 30 to 40% of companies' revenue is going towards federal taxes. While the federal government does need to get taxes, does it have to be that high? Probably not. And then obviously Fire and Flower insolvency, that's a big company, right? 90 stores, we got thousands of employees. And even the government here in Canada has said it's time for the federal government to get caught up to the MJ industry and support them. So almost 5 years legal here in Canada, and still just absolutely absurd what's going on here. So Senator Cory Booker said recently that lawmakers are working to resurrect the MJ reform package, acknowledging that the failure to advance a banking fix for the industry literally means that hundreds of businesses could go out of business, right? So again, we're seeing more reason than ever. It's also unsafe, right? They're operating as cash businesses, so it's not safe for the owners and the employees that are working there. You can't use credit cards, traditional funding, and things like that. The American Bankers Association as well, ABA, also recently renewed its call for the passage of the legislation, and all 50 of the state chapters did the same, and so did insurance and union organizations in recent letters to congressional leadership. We know that Amazon and Apple are backing legalization. We know Uber's getting into delivery with with Leafly in British Columbia. We're starting to see more and more big tech companies and conglomerates start to support the industry. And like I said, now more than ever, I think we have a very extreme high chance of this passing. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you agree with my thoughts, always love hearing from you. Don't care if you agree with me, disagree with me. Always encourage thoughtful discourse. But going into there, it's Rob with Power Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. Smash the like, share the video with anybody that might find value. Let me know your comments in the comments below. We'll continue the conversation there. Have a great night. We'll see you in the next video.